You will never be ready to start a business. You'll never ever be ready. You have to just go. You can do all the planning that you want, but nothing in life will prepare you to own a business, to run a business. It's something that you will have to learn along the way, and that's the only thing that will help you get there.
Welcome to another episode of our podcast, Relentless, Life on Your Terms, Season 6, here in Sydney, filming from the Wisecast Studios. Paul Nguyen, thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man.
Well, tell us a bit about your story, what led to Creative Culture HQ, and tell us,
It's crazy because when I started Creative Culture HQ like 3.5 years ago, I didn't really have a plan when I started. I came from a marketing background before this. I worked at a supplement store and I was the marketing manager there. And the thing about it, I got a lot of experience, which was really, really good. So the environment there got a bit toxic towards the end of it. So I knew I had to get out of there. And the amount that I was working for this company, I figured, you know what? I have to back myself here. If I was to work this hard for myself, I'd make it somewhere. Had two directions I could go down, right? And both of them I was passionate about. It was either fitness or it was either photography. I knew that whatever it was I was going to do, I backed myself enough to know that I would get the job done. So I went down photography first. I was a creative. I opened up a creative studio, photography only. I spent the first 4 weeks building the foundation of my business. And then within 6 weeks, I replaced my full-time income, which was awesome. And then COVID-2 lockdown happened. So that... In every difficult situation, there's always an opportunity to grow. There's always an opportunity there to take advantage of, and that advantage was figuring out other ways to make streams of income. So what happened was, I'm sure you've met a lot of people like this. Everyone always wants to start a business, right? There are two excuses typically. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. But if they're at home, they're getting paid to stay at home. They have money and now they have time as well. So a lot of business logos, marketing collaterals were coming in. So I taught myself graphic design so that I was still able to make money from home. We got so big in that graphic design department, I had to hire 2 graphic designers to help me out. 2 graphic designers that were a lot better than I was at graphic design. So they were handling that quite well. And then I figured, okay, you know what? Let's see how else I can make money. So I had a lot of product photography clients at that time. So what I did was I asked them to send products to my house. I would capture their content for them. And then we would go from there. I'd set up a little home studio and then, take advantage of that situation.
Okay, so rewind back a bit. How were you getting all your leads? So you hired 2 people. Mm-hmm. How were the leads coming in? What were you doing?
Word of mouth. So word of mouth. Even up until this point here, everything has always been referrals. Has always been word of mouth through people I know. You hear a lot of people say it these days. It's all about who you know. And that's pretty much how it was. Not only that too. So from my last job, I had built quite a big network in the supplement industry. And one of my first clients was actually a supplement company from Melbourne. They had seen my work that I'd previously done. Word got around the industry. It is a small industry and everyone knows each other. Word got around the industry that I had left that previous job. And with the impact that I had made in that industry, people were like, hey, can you do the marketing for us? Can you create the content for us? And I remember even when I think one of the things that's paid off for me the most is just how I've treated people, and I guess how I've treated people. And when I say that, what I mean is my first ever big client that I landed was Westfields, right? And I asked them, I said, how did you guys hear about us? And they said, well, to be honest, we asked around, and you were referred by someone by the name of Bo. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. I hadn't actually spoken to him in 3 years, and before that. So I think that good people just want to see good people win. And on top of that too, what comes after that is the service that you deliver. That's how you retain them.
So that's a good adage. Good people just want to see good people win.
Yeah.
So you will be able to generate enough business to service 2 people plus yourself.
Yes, correct.
And then how did you continue growing that business?
All right, so COVID lockdown hit, and the goal was always to get into videography as well. So I taught myself that. Everything has been self-taught. I did do a digital marketing course online, but photography, videography, graphic design was all self-taught. And then once we built up a big enough client base off our graphics, photos, videos, my clients knew that I had a social media background. So what they wanted was to have a one-stop shop for everything marketing. So they asked me, you know what, Paulie, can you please release a service that is digital marketing as well? We don't want to deal with other people. We love the service, the customer service that you provide with the services that you have now. We also want to do marketing as well. So the reason why I steered away from it at the start was because that last environment that I was in was very toxic and I was doing marketing. So I tied that environment to the actual role itself. And it wasn't until much later on, I was like, no, I love marketing. I just didn't like that environment I was in. So, yeah.
So then you were able to separate the two.
100%.
But that actually taught you, in hindsight, listening to you speak, that actually taught you a valuable lesson in life or in business.
100%.
It wasn't the product, it was the environment.
Definitely.
So what were you going to do different to that environment when you started your business or started scaling?
Okay, so the biggest thing is because I spend 50% of my time growing the business, the other 50% is actually growing the culture of the business. So creating a workplace that people want to go to. And, how do you define business culture or work culture? I always say to people, well, how do you feel on a Sunday night before you have to go to work on a Monday morning? Are you excited? Do you want to get to bed early so you can get up early, go to work? Or are you kind of like, oh man, I don't want to go to work. I don't really feel like it. Or I know when I go there, it's going to be draining. And building an environment that's rewarding, but also where people feel valued and they feel like they're growing as well with the company plays a very, very big role into the business culture.
It's a very good barometer. How do they feel Sunday night? So what are some of the key things that you think can make people excited to go to work?
Of course.
What are some of the things?
Definitely. So one is making sure that they feel valued, because the relationship between a business owner or the employer and the employee is very give or take. And I think what a lot of business owners forget, they think that the employees owe them everything. But the way that I see it is like, no. If you're taking time out of your day or out of your life to come and, build CCHQ to play your part, what can I do to help you? What can I do to service you? So I think it's also understanding and listening to the needs of team members. And that's why we always have sessions where we work on their goals when it comes to the business, but we also work on their private, like their personal goals outside of work as well. A lot of my team members at the moment, I'll give you an example. So a lot of my team members, they want to save for a house at the moment. They want to buy a house. A lot of their goals revolve around financial needs. So what I've done was I put a tab on the cafe that was downstairs in the business. And then all the coffees, breakfasts, lunches, and dinners and desserts were actually paid for by the company. And that adds up over time. So, even a coffee a day adds up. And then that way it can help them financially. We partnered with a car company as well, where any dent removals, car services, or anything like that, we get the team members get a 30% discount off that, because a car is also a big expense too. So, yeah, that's
So you've set up partnerships. You've taken the expense from the cafe downstairs,
Yep.
so they can use that money to start saving.
Mm-hmm.
You've helped them with car expenses as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something to consider is actually, we do lunch and learns at Reventon. We get
Yes.
people to come in as guest speakers. So
Yep.
maybe if you brought someone into your organization and he spoke about real estate or deposits or how they can get into the market, might also help them as well.
100%. I work with a financial advisor that gives us amazing financial, strategy and planning as well. And at least like templates on how to do a certain thing, how to budget your personal life and your savings. So I try and add value to the team in that aspect wherever I can help. So.
Do you ever do any like lunch and learns?
We don't do lunch and learns. We do in-house workshops, but we don't do lunch and learns.
Something that we do at our office, and we get different speakers
Mm-hmm.
to talk about different topics. It could be health, could be, in our case, we do finance and real estate. So we talk about our expertise,
Yep.
but also have different speakers that talk about different things as well, just to help our team grow. And that could be, as I mentioned, mental well-being, could be health, could be goal setting. But we also talk about real estate and finance. It's a very, very good way to keep, so your team that's engaged,
awesome.
I want to learn about real estate. Here's an expert who's done it. He can give you 30 minutes while you're having your lunch. We go through a presentation. That's just a little tip I know you'll share.
Yeah, that's really good. I've had something similar, but it's not an ongoing thing. I've had sales before. I've had marketing. I've had content creation workshops as well, what people eat. But I really like the idea of making that a habitual thing. So
yeah, we do a few things. Lunch and learns one.
Yep.
And we do master classes.
Nice.
So a master class is a topic. Now our last two we did was communication.
Yeah, beautiful.
3 weeks. Sorry, 3 sessions.
Yeah.
1 a month.
Yep.
It's compulsory.
Yep.
If you say yes to the first, you've got to come to all 3.
Yep.
The lunch and learns are not. So certain things we do are compulsory because we want our staff to always be upskilling,
Yep.
getting better at what they do,
Of course.
and also professionally growing as individuals.
Yeah.
So that's why we did sales. That's why we did communication, because communication is a necessary skill no matter what you do.
100%. I agree.
So what are so creative culture? How big is the team at the moment?
11 of
And
us.
what's your plans for the future?
So my plans for the future is to release an agency or an office in Melbourne, then Brisbane, and then international in LA as well. So yeah, and
Yep. Some of your service offerings, you said you creative. What
Yeah,
does that
so
involve?
what we do, photography, videography, graphic design, digital marketing, which includes your social media marketing, your digital ads. We're getting into your Google ads as well at the moment. We also do website design and development as well.
What platforms are you usually marketing on?
Oh, we've marketed on quite a few platforms. So if we're talking about social media, so we've done Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Snapchat.
Is there a few that you lean towards that you feel are working better than others?
Depends on the company and depends on the industry.
And what sort
100%.
of clients? Is it a range of clients? You
We
specialize in
work.
a hospitality client, a wealth
Oh
client?
yeah, fair question. So I get this question a lot. So the clients that we work with are big companies and small companies as well, small to mediums and even startups. So if we're talking about bigger companies, we go BMW, Mirvac, Oz Hair and Beauty, Westfields, JD Sports, Culture Kings. But we also work with startup companies as well. We're not one of those agencies. So when I brought out CCHQ, I did a lot of market research, and what people were saying was, yeah, people would sign on with us at the start. However, when the agency got too big and they started playing with the big dogs, they kind of forgot about them. And that's not what I want to do, because I want to always make sure that, you know, we as a team and an agency remain humble and remember where we came from as well. And to be honest, it's a lot more rewarding for us when we work with a smaller company, because we're able to bring the experience from the bigger brands into the smaller company. And to be honest, they appreciate it a lot more.
Because they've got that experience. You've got a diverse skill set because you're working with smaller businesses, bigger businesses, and you're also seeing what's working when you're working across a plethora of different platforms.
Yes, correct.
And business industries.
Correct, 100%. And when it comes to marketing as well, like, you know, when we work across a whole different range of industries, a lot of the times we'll take things that are working from other industries that haven't been tapped into yet on a certain industry that we're working on. So
I always had a mentor said to me, if you get an idea from one industry, it can have a massive impact on another
100%.
Just by implementing that idea.
Absolutely.
And I guess you can see that very much so in marketing.
Yep.
So where do you see some of the key, if you're the companies to start marketing, what are some of the tips that you'll tell them?
Okay, so always work on building your brand more than your actual product itself. All right, so I'll give you a perfect example. So Apple, what they do every single year, they release an iPhone that is just that fraction better. But people buy the brand more than the actual product itself. Or if Nike, for instance, they can release the ugliest pair of Jordans or Dunks, but people will buy it because it's Nike. They want to wear Nike. So you got to work on building your brand, selling your brand before you sell the actual product itself, because the brand sales is relationships. People build relationships with brands. They don't build relationships with products. So work on building your brand first, 100% every single day of the week. I've seen so many people, they go and market their product so hard, but their product doesn't have a story. People relate to brands, not products.
Okay, and one more tip?
So
focus on your brand.
Mm-hmm. And as a business owner, an entrepreneur, and people looking to start their business, we all start as a small business, is to back yourself. It's the most important thing. Always back yourself, because there'll be days where, you know, you feel like the whole world's against you, but that doesn't matter if you back yourself with it. I think having confidence in what you do and believing in your own vision and not letting outside noise get into your head, because you can't expect other people to see what you see, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's your vision. So
okay, so keeping a positive mindset.
Always, 100%.
And since you started your agency,
yes,
what are some of the big lessons or things you'll tell people to look out for?
Making sure that everything there has a structure to it. So we have a thing.
So framework, you mean?
100% framework. So SOPs, you know, standard operating procedures, because that's how you make the company scalable. One of the biggest challenges I faced was being able to scale while also keeping the quality the same and uniform across the actual company as well. And what's happened is, so what we've done is obviously create SOPs. Everything's in writing, and how we do things is all uniform as well. So I have a thing that I work on. It's called System Saturdays, and I try and work on at least one procedure for the company on a Saturday, just so that I can make things run smoother. Because there's a reason why McDonald's, which I worked at McDonald's for 5 years as well, there's a reason why McDonald's could open up on the corner tomorrow and it will be running smoothly, because everything's written down. How to do everything is written down. It's really dumbed down as well, so that anyone can get that. So that's how I want to do it.
There's only a few hours you can go work at Macca's and they can have any human, they believe, running at 80-90% efficiency because of the systems. Everything that they've put in place, to where they've situated the bathrooms, to where they put the fryers, and they're teaching people in pods, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And everyone uses that as an example.
It's very
of
true
how
that
it's systemized.
100%. Like, and I have 3 goals with my business, right? When it comes to the looking at brands like this. So I want to be systemized like McDonald's. I want to have a business culture like Google, and I want to have my branding like Apple. So yeah, that's those are like 3 industry people that I look up to a lot and I admire a lot. So
Well, they're great examples.
of course.
So System Saturdays, you call it.
Yes.
Was that a mentor? Was that a book? What gave you that idea?
I actually saw it on a podcast just on social media. It was just random, and I was like, that's a really really good idea. And I like to absorb a lot when I'm listening to podcasts, when I'm on social media as well, because a lot of the times we're like death scrolling, but making sure that your feed is something that adds value to you.
That nourishes your mind.
100%.
What are some of the podcasts you're listening to?
I like to listen to Andy Frisella's MF CEO. So I like that one because he's very real. He has a very, very good story and it's relatable to a lot of people, but he's very raw as well. He's very, very raw. It's good because when you listen, or when I listen to it, at least it feels like he's kind of having a conversation with you, but he's also reading your mind as well. And it's kind of a good reminder that even entrepreneurs that, are 10, 20 years in the track, they're experiencing the same things still that, 1st to 5 year people are still experiencing. So it's kind of like, okay, good. It doesn't go away. You just learn to manage it a lot better.
So you're learning from other lessons.
Yeah.
But look, it's your challenges as an entrepreneur. This is my 20th year in business now.
Yep.
They keep getting bigger, but you also keep getting more resilient because you
Yes.
know how to handle those things.
100%.
Now, with my previous guest, we spoke a lot about mentors and advisors. Do you have a mentor at the moment, a business mentor?
I don't have a direct business mentor, but I have a network that I can lean on for sure. And I have a lot of people that I know that are that own their own businesses and they've been in the industry or in the game for a lot longer than I have. So I do. I have a few people that would message. I typically message different people for different things. Like for instance, if I had a staffing question that I wanted to speak about, or if I had a culture thing, or if I had just a business operations question that I wanted to speak about, I would ask different people about it.
The question that I ask most of my guests.
Yes.
What would you tell someone that's looking at starting a business now?
Oh, okay. So making sure you know your numbers, but also at the same time, you will never be ready to start a business. You'll never ever be ready. You have to just go. You can do all the planning that you want, but nothing in life will prepare you to own a business, to run a business. It's something that you will have to learn along the way, and that's the only thing that will help you get there. You can, like I said, you can read as many books, watch as many podcasts, but it's one of those things where your experience in it will be the biggest teacher and the biggest will provide you the biggest lessons in order to actually make it.
So just action, take action,
just the action,
move forward.
100%. Take more action than you plan. Sometimes I see a lot of people, they plan more than they do.
Of course, it's analysis by paralysis by analysis. People
That's
just
the
don't
one.
act.
Mm-hmm.
So in your course in business,
Yes.
what would you have done differently knowing what you know now?
In the first year and a half, 2 years of my business, I didn't really look at my numbers. I didn't understand my numbers.
When you say look at your numbers, to
Yes.
what level? So I had a mentor
budgeting.
talk about this
Yes.
very, very topic, and I'll
Yeah.
want to put some light on it, but I just want to hear your perspective. What do you mean by that?
Well, for instance, I wasn't aware of what my bottom line was. I wasn't aware of the expenses going on in the business, and I purely was focusing on just bringing money in. That's all I was focusing on. And I then got in touch with a financial planner, and then he broke everything down for me. He opened my eyes. He set me targets there as well. Because if you don't understand your numbers, you don't know your numbers. How can you set financial or targets that have to do with numbers?
But it's just luck, just guessing. If you don't know your numbers,
Yeah.
Now, one of my mentors said, "Do you know your numbers, Chris?" Like, yeah, I'm very left brain. I am.
Yes.
He goes to the decimal point. I said, "What do you mean the decimal point?" He goes, "Do you know them that well?" So if I ask you questions on each of your business, would you know them to a decimal point?
Not to a decimal point.
But I'm saying that's the level that this guy wanted me
100%.
to understand. He goes, if you don't know your numbers, he goes, everything's guesswork. If you have a good month, it's luck. If you have a bad month, it's luck. Because you need to understand them to that level so you can see how to grow and where to grow. Especially as you're scaling and growing, expenses can be out of hand when you've got 5 people, 10 people, 20, 50. I haven't got to 100 yet, but at each stage, we got to about 80. At each stage, there was that understanding of each numbers,
Yep.
putting money into how much would you advise a company to be spending on marketing? What percentage of their turnover would you advise them to spend on marketing?
So percentage of turnover.
So I'm turning over
would
$1 million as an example. How much would you say should go into marketing?
Marketing as a whole, let's say you're turning over $1 million.
Yep.
I'd say at least 100K, 10%.
So 10%?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, what would you say is a good return on that 10%? So if you're running my digital marketing, I'm giving you 100 grand a year, I'm turning over $1 million. What would you say is a good return to say that you're
A
doing a
good
good job?
return. I would say about 375K. So I like to always multiply around 3.75
So
to
just
measure
under
ROI.
4x.
That's how I would measure anything under it. It's still feasible. It still gets the job done. However, that's just one of my targets that I look at.
That is a good return, especially on a new campaign, because what you need to consider is when you get new clients from the existing ones, you don't have that fee or that expense. You're also building a database,
100%.
which makes a big difference.
100%. And that way, because all of our packages are customized as well. So it's not like it's just a flat rate, because if a company is not ready to spend 100K on marketing, then, we can't promise them that we're going to get them that 375. So then we start with 3.75x whatever their marketing spend is. And that's how we go from there. So let's say let's say hypothetically we take 10,000, we times that by 3.75. Then they've obviously gotten to a point now. So now we can up the spend again and then multiply that by 3.75. So yeah,
So just reinvest that money.
100%. 100%. So
now, what's in the future for creative?
okay, so we've actually just we're in the process of releasing our photo shooting event space. It's called The Cave. And that's in the fit out at the moment, and actually releases in a couple of weeks. So it's a massive 430 square meter photo studio and event space, 7x7 by 4.5 high cyclorama wall. You have like 39 different color backdrops to choose from, and yeah, you obviously do your photo shoots there, hold events there. The space is pretty much only limited by your imagination. So you can do a lot there. There's even a chill out space. Let's say hypothetically, there's a grand final on that day. You want to invite like 50 to 100 people to go and watch that. We provide the catering for you. And then, we have the big TV in the facilities where, everyone can sit down and just watch it. So
very exciting. When are you launching this?
December the 6th is the launch party.
And you were mentioning before we started, this is the third business idea.
This is the third business, yes.
And
correct.
December 6th, how long did it take you to conceptualize this?
Was
that on Saturday you came up with it?
No, you want to know what's funny enough, actually? It was actually meant to launch next year, January, February. That's what I was telling myself this whole year. And I kept saying, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do it next year. But I was only going to do it next year because that's what I was telling myself. And then I started changing what I was saying to myself. I said, no, I'm going to do it now. Within 1 week of me saying I'm going to do it now, 1 week later, we were in the studio starting the fit outs. And we've only been in there for about 3 weeks. And yeah, so the fit out probably takes about, I'd say, 2 months, and then we're good. We're good to go.
So 6th of December.
Yeah, 6th of December.
So going back to your biggest lesson and mistake you made in business, Paul, what would that be?
Not hiring the right staff and the right people. Because yeah, like that, the people that you hire are obviously a reflection of yourself and a reflection of the company as well. Just making sure that at that time I didn't have the right hiring process, but as we've hired more and more people, that hiring process has tightened up, and then we've been able to hire good people. So
you mentioned before where you previously worked, you said it was a toxic environment. Did you learn a lot from that to take into your hiring process?
100% I did. However, I took it on board too much, right? So what I did at the start was making sure that I was hiring people that were very just nice, respectful, good for the culture. And kind of like, okay, look, skill is important. However, skill can always be taught. Now I've learned that it needs to be a heavy balance. It needs to be a very, very even and good balance. And work needs to come before fun, and fun will always follow.
Because attitude can't be taught. Attitude's the most important thing.
Yes.
Simon Sinek talks a lot about that, having a high performing leader or high trust. And it's always important to have someone of high trust, even if they're not the highest performer, because they're better for a culture.
Yes.
Someone of high performance and low trust is like a toxic person within that company, and it's like a cancer or a shred. So it's like when you mentioned before, doesn't matter if you're high performance, if you're of low trust. And he speaks about the Navy SEALs a lot, and he says, a Navy SEAL will trust another person with his life. That's just part of being a Navy SEAL. But he said the true test is, will I trust you with my money and wife? Because a Navy SEAL, being part of a Navy SEAL, you'll take a bullet for another Navy SEAL. That's part of signing up. But that's the bigger test. And he always uses an axis, and he uses high trust versus high performance. And he puts trust here and performance. Always they're going to go opt for someone with high trust.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like I agree with what you said before. Like you can't You can't teach character. You can't teach someone to be honest. You can't teach someone to be trustworthy. So it's one of the things that we always look for. We have a 3-stage hiring process now, and yeah, like at the end of the day, like the reason why I had to sway the other way, like as in like balance it out a little bit more, is because my industry is very competitive. Not only that, it's all about who you trust with your money as well. Because people, that's what they're doing. They're investing into a marketing agency. They're investing into a company. So with that, I need to do the due diligence of making sure that investing your money into us is the right place to do it, and making sure that we can get the ROI for the client.
So you said a 3-interview stage process. Walk
Yes.
me through that.
Okay, so the first stage is with our general manager, and that's it's a phone interview. And then once they pass that, they actually are set with a task depending on what stage what role they're playing,
being
whether
hired
it's
for, yep.
marketing, whether it's content.
Yep.
They're set with a specific task, and then they have to present that. And then if they make it past that, that's depending on which department it is, that is the interview with me and their direct manager.
So you're the final parts. The first is a phone screening. Second
I'm
one
in
is
2
like
and 3. I'm in 2 and 3.
competency test.
Yes.
You present that to yourself, tick, off you go.
Yeah, because I think number 2 is the most important one, because one, it tests competency, but the biggest thing is they test commitment as well. Because like, are you willing to do a task, to get the job?
You always look how quick they get it done as well.
Yes, I don't set them a deadline ever. I don't set deadlines. They're always like, when's it due? I said, so I've left that up to you.
Because you can always see based on their response time how quick it is,
100%.
how keen they are.
Like it's always like,
again,
okay,
it goes back to attitude.
Definitely 100%. Like I just want to see the urgency, but I also test the standards that they have for themselves and turning tasks around. So that's a big thing.
It's actually a very good test.
Yeah. I don't set them deadlines for it. I set them the task, and yeah, then I let
And
them
always
turn
you
around.
see the ones with that have a quick response rate are usually very well. It's a good indicator that they're going to be better.
100%. They're more committed, at least. Yeah.
The ones that don't respond quick in time usually don't cut the mustard.
Yeah, definitely. Because at the end of the day, it's the way that I build the culture is like a team, right? You want to have the confidence if you go into hypothetically a team sport that your teammate is going to pull the weight, it's going to get the job done. They're not going to be a liability. So I want to when I set the task, it's kind of like I want team members to come into the office knowing that whoever that person is, they're going to get it done. They're going to get it done really well. They're going to get it done quick as well. They're not going to hold anyone back. So yeah.
Well, congratulations on all your success. We will be keeping up. Now, as a tradition on our podcast, are you ready for your quick fire questions, Paul?
I'm ready.
What is the best decision you've ever made?
To start this business.
How do you handle failure or setbacks?
I look at what I did and how I can do better.
What's one thing you wish you knew earlier in your career?
To know numbers.
You mentioned that a couple of
Yes.
times. Numbers is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the most influential person in your life?
My mum.
What is one thing you wouldn't leave the house without?
My phone.
I should always say with not the mobile. If you could solve one global issue, what would it be?
This one isn't a big one, but it's confidence. Not enough people have confidence in the world.
I think it's become the social media age. People don't forget to have that old-fashioned have a conversation.
If people were more confident, if people were more confident in the world, there'll be less negativity in the world. Everyone will be a lot nicer to each other.
What's your go-to strategy for overcoming procrastination?
Getting up and just doing smaller tasks first. So
just start. Action.
Yeah, smaller tasks. Always start with small tasks.
What's the most challenging part of your daily routine?
It would be juggling all the tasks.
What's your favorite motivational song?
I would have to say Danza Kuduro. And my team knows this because anytime I need to hype up for a shoot, that's what's blasting when I'm setting up.
If you could describe yourself in one word, what would the word be?
Confident.
What is one trend in your industry that you're very excited about?
AI. Mm-hmm.
What is the most spontaneous thing you've ever done?
I booked the Bali trip for the team for Christmas this year.
That's beautiful. What's the first thing you think of when you wake up?
I'm excited to get to work.
Well, the Sunday thing you're talking about, huh?
Yeah.
What's one thing you always have on your desk?
My laptop. Always.
How do you balance work and personal life?
Oh, I don't, to be honest. That's a sacrifice. That's a big sacrifice at the moment, because a lot of my focus needs to go into work, and like not being balanced is okay. It's good for a certain amount of time, as long as, like any investment, you know what you're aiming to get out of it down the track.
To build something great, you need to sacrifice lots of time. One friend once told me, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one thing you're grateful for today?
Being alive.
On a scale of 1 to 10, Paul, how much have you enjoyed being on our podcast?
11.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.